All right. It's been a while since I built a 40 proof template. I've now got one for sale on BIM Goodies, but in that vein, I kind of wanted to do an overview of what I see important in a template. First and foremost, I think that it needs to work with out-of-the-box standards. If we start looking at things like the object tool, we want to make sure that whatever we're using for attributes and things work with the out-of-the-box objects and tools there, so that we're not chasing down custom pens or specific pens and surfaces every time we make a change. So working from the out-of-the-box defaults is important, but also sort of tailoring it to organizational and company and project type needs. I work a lot on residential scale projects, so that's what I've kind of focused on with my template here. If we start with the library manager, this is the first thing that I did was I organized the library manager into subfolders that mimic and sort of copy the out-of-the-box library. So looking at the ArchiCAD library, for example, the object library has all of these CSI divisions, and trying to keep things consistent and well organized, I think, is important for the lifespan of a project. So in this template, I've preset all of these folders in the embedded library. A lot of these are preloaded with components. So for example, I have all of these 40 proof specific objects here, distribution elements, things that I've either scripted or collected over the years. There's some labels and annotation. There's all of the furniture parts that are available on the BIM Goodies store 40 proof page are loaded into here, as well as a few extras. And then just a lot of like blank folders where if you do create a custom metal component or custom door leaves, you have a place to dump those. So your custom window sashes have a place to go. Your custom door leaves have a place to go. And the idea is that this should prevent a big, long running list of disorganized stuff. Surface images and textures that you might Photoshop can get dumped into a folder as you create them, keeping things organized. So that's the first thing. And then realizing that this comes front-loaded with plenty of stuff that you might need. Different types of plumbing fixtures and furniture and electrical and annotation tools that I've scripted, as well as things that I've just sort of collected and curated. So there's the first part of it. The next part is the consistency between all view settings and the view map and the layout book. So I've taken the layer combinations, I've reduced it down just a little bit. I've also added an interiors folder for layers, because I think that the architecture, the sort of core and shell separated from the interiors, makes it a lot easier to turn off, say, the interior layer as a whole, turn it all on or all off. So you can really view just the shell and the core. Kind of using these subfolders that way, I think, is really useful. And then the layer combination, organization and naming here perfectly mimics, if we look at the organization within my view map here, under the design development construction documents. So A0 through E200 mimics what's going on here. MEP 200, and then the details 800, etc. All of those folders in the view map correspond to a layer combination in the layer settings. That carries through, again, keeping it with the out-of-the-book concept of having this consistency between all view settings, but really tying those view settings to specific organization in the view map and the layout book. So all of my A200 being the floor plan views are labeled 200 in the layer combinations, the model view options, graphic overrides, and renovation filters, and that carries through to all the other view types and sheet types. I use Z as sort of coordination and import-export layer combos and view settings, just to push them down at the bottom where they're easy to find. All visible and unlocked, I actually add a special character. Hopefully that's not an issue with Windows users. If it is, you just remove that. But putting that as an exclamation mark moves that to the top of the list for all of the view settings. And same thing with graphic overrides, using that same concept to organize this in a way that mimics. It's really parroting what's going on in the view map there. And I can go through all of the various view settings from dimension styles all the way over to layer combinations. Now the other thing that I've done in here is create that same organization here. So if I look at my A2 floor plans, for example, 2.11 basement plan. So the A2 series mimics that layer combination. And then additionally, I've sort of stripped back the master layout list a little bit. I've kept some of them in here. I've added my preferred title block and actually added that into the master layout as a drawing so that no matter how many different master layouts you're using, all you have to do is open the source view for this. And then here's the two title blocks for 24 by 36 and 30 by 42. You can edit those in one place and know that they're going to be updated in the entire project. I've also created an architectural details master layout, so sort of auto numbering those details, and then one for wall sections. In the vein of details, I've also created, my preferred detail method is to use independent details and then place linked markers referencing them. So I've just dumped some placeholders in here for site details, foundation details, roof details, etc. Those can then get saved with their sort of grid of details to the view map when you're ready to start cartooning out details. These have folders as well for interior cabinet details, cabinet section details, exterior details, trim details, those sorts of things. You can save that current view into there using, again, these clearly denoted layer combination view settings. All the A8 are for the detail views. So setting that up is as simple as just saying that going straight to that A8. I'm not looking through things alphabetically, numerically. I know that A8 is my exterior details. So using that, always uncheck the zoom and rotation and save with the current zoom for these details. So that you know when you open this detail, let's say cornice detail is what I'm going to draw here. So that I know when I click on this detail versus say panning over here and saying parapet cap, I know that I'm zooming into this detail and not this detail. So that's just one little trick on building these details out the way that I prefer to do it. And then you place the markers to reference that view so that it gets pulled all the way through to the layout book as well. So that's a handful of the things that I've sort of tweaked and edited and added to the out-of-the-box template to make it work for my workflow.